Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Awesome. So great to see everyone here today, and welcome to the 2023 North Dakota Transportation Conference. We are excited to have all of you here for this great event. My name is Thompson. I am the Director for North Dakota Workforce Safety and Insurance. Last year I was the guy that was the head of the North Dakota Concrete Council. And so it is great to be back here among so many friends. And I'm privileged to represent the Governor's Office and Team WSI with you here this morning. But I can tell you that my allegiance to the transportation industry has not faded. And in fact, a lot of times when I'm visiting with Ron Henke at the DOT, he has to tell me, hey dude, back off, you're not promoting concrete anymore, let's look at everything as a whole. So I'm trying to become more used to that, but old habits die hard. So looking at the agenda looks like a great opportunity to learn and to network here over the next several days. The theme for this year's conference is driving change together, what we are all doing to continue to move North Dakota forward. Over the next couple of days, we invite you to take it all in. The training sessions, social events, the exhibition hall, and various networking opportunities. But to tell us more specifically about the purpose of this event and what you can expect, I'd like you to help me welcome Wayde Swenson to the stage. Wayde is with the he is the Office of Operations Director for NDDOT, a position he's held for the past 9 years. Prior to that, he was the Devils Lake District Engineer and Assistant District Engineer in both Devils Lake and Grand Forks, and a project engineer in Minot. Wayde grew up on a farm outside of Bowbells and graduated from UND with a bachelor's in civil engineering. Outside of work, he enjoys hunting, fishing, old cars, sports, and four-wheeling. Please welcome Wayde.
Thank you, Art. Well, I'm guessing some of you guys are wondering, what's this guy doing up here? And I'm probably asked that same question myself. But, the planning for this event starts a year in advance. We set dates. We make sure the executives know the dates and when they need to be here. And just so happens, Friday before the event, Senate Appropriations decides to hear our DOT budget. So the executives are there all morning going over our budget. So that's why you got me today. Director Henke and the executives wish to be here this morning. And on behalf of Director Henke and the whole team at the North Dakota Department of Transportation, thank you for being here. It's good to see so many of you here. I was told that we had over 800 people register for the event, and that's about 100 increase from last year. So it's a growing event. There's no one who values and appreciates champions in transportation like the people in this room. What you do is vital to the success, and we're grateful that you made time here today to be here. Thank you to the conference planners, sponsors, speakers, and exhibitors. Special thank you to Brady Hausler with the North Dakota DOT and the Friends from Upper Great Plains Institute for all the work in coordinating this conference. This is going to be a great 2-day event. So make the most of it. Use the time to visit with people you maybe have only dealt with on emails. Learn from each other. We're going to be talking a lot over the next few days about partnerships, collaborations, working together, being better toward, and getting, these are not just buzzwords. These are way we got to do business. We're not only talking about the concept of one transportation system, but we're dedicated to make it normal business practice. Think of this conference alone. We have state, city, counties, townships, tribes, contractors, consultants, suppliers, students, friends, and from other states, and a host of other groups are all working together. We have to. It's the only way we're going to get the historic level of funding, the common challenges we're experiencing regarding workforce and other issues, and the high expectations placed on us by North Dakotans and ourselves. The theme of driving change together is fitting as we work towards develop closer connections and more strategic partnerships. We know we're up to the challenge and that if we can work together, we're more innovative, and we problem solve together, and then North Dakota's transportation system and the citizens of North Dakota will see the benefits of it. So here's your challenge for the next 2 days. Meet somebody new, learn something new, and take an idea back with you. Thank you again for being here today. I've got the privilege of introducing the next speaker. He's a force for North Dakota. He's committed to do things we all care about: innovation, safety, technology, and infrastructure. In 1983, Doug Burgum started Great Plains Software and grew the business into a world-class product that eventually became part of Microsoft family. In addition, he co-founded Kilbourne Group and co-founded Arthur Ventures, all businesses that highlight the talent and capabilities of North Dakota. Always one champion to our great state, he became governor in December 2016, and with his tenure, the transportation industry gained a strong ally in building a world-class transportation system across North Dakota. Please help me welcome the 33rd governor of the great state of North Dakota, Doug Burgum.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Art. Good morning, everybody. Great to be here with you. It's always fun to be at the Transportation Conference. And I want to, of course, begin with gratitude, as I often do. But this winter, more than ever, I just want to say to the entire North Dakota Department of Transportation, along with all the city, the county, the tribal, the private operators, this is one of our top 10 winters for snowfall. Depending on how young you are, this may be in your top 5. But Bismarck already has had over 82 inches of snow. Glad that you made it here today, the 7th snowiest winter ever in Bismarck. Enormous amount of time and resources obviously have been put into moving snow, keeping roads safe and clear. And just during last week's Tuesday, Wednesday storm, the Bismarck Valley City and Fargo NDDOT districts worked 2,700 hours operating 135 snow plows, 19 blowers, and 2 motor graders. And so I just want to take a moment right now and say, let's give a round of applause for everybody that's working to keep these roads open all winter. And I guess the one conference that you never cancel in the winter if there's a storm is the Transportation Conference, because we know that all of you know how to get here, so there's such a great turnout to see everybody that's here. I think, how many were here last year at this conference? I think then you might remember that last year I started out with I thought it was an innocent joke, but it was about, what's better, asphalt or concrete? Anybody remember that? And anyway, it turned out, apparently, I was talking to Ron Hankey, apparently it caused quite a stir, and there's still, apparently there's some people missing that maybe they found in, over in the material division somewhere, but anyway, that was a joke, so I thought it'd be important to, conferences need a little controversy, so I thought I would start out with some jokes today, which I never do. If you've heard me speak, I never start with jokes. I'm not a joke teller, so I thought I would, try to think of what controversy. So I was trying to trigger a 3-way fight instead of a 2-way fight. So there was drivers of snowplows, motor graders, and snowblowers. What do we know about them? Well, apparently 2 of them are really good at pushing others around, and one just throws a lot of stuff. Okay, I didn't say they were good jokes. And you have to write your own material. But you guys heard about all of the advances in AI? And Chat GPT, have you heard about that? Raise your hand, some of you. Anyway, it's a new, super powered, it's the most powerful computer in the world, and you can ask it a query, and then it comes back based on its knowledge and tells you things. So I said, look, I've got a really bad joke that's a super bad groaner that doesn't even have a punchline. That's the one you just heard. Horrible. So I said, I've got to do a welcome speech. This is like 2 in this morning. I got to do a welcome speech. I'm nervous. Do you have some jokes about highway engineers? And I asked ChatGPT this, so I'm reading here. It says, how do you know if a highway engineer is an extrovert? He looks at your shoes when he talks at you. Okay. So I think we've proven that ChatGPT was funnier than I am. That was maybe better, but I like this one. How many highway engineers does it take to change a light bulb? None? It's none. They just redesign the darkness. I thought that one was funnier. And then what do you call a highway engineer that can't do math? Civil engineer? Ouch. Ouch, okay. I didn't write that one. This is ChatGPT did that. Okay, that was not me doing that. And so then there was another one. I said, I wasn't sure those were good. I said, can you write a joke about a snowplow driver, a highway engineer, and a construction worker? And this is what it came back. The snowplow driver was driving on the highway and he saw a car stuck in a snowbank, decided to help out and pull over. He got out of his snowplow and walked over to the car, and inside he saw a highway engineer and a road construction worker. Hey, what are you guys doing here? Well, we're on our way to a conference for road safety. This is ChatGPT wrote this. The highway engineer said, really, how's that going? The snowplow driver asked. Not so well, the road construction worker said. And I don't know if this says, if ChatGPT knows something about snowplow drivers, because this is not the ones we have in North Dakota, but it says, the snowplow driver shook his head and said, that's ironic. And then he got back in his truck and drove away, leaving them stranded. Okay, that was that joke. But anyway, I went the other way, and I did want to say to everybody here, I said, you know, the people that are going to be at this conference today, the highway engineers, the construction workers, the engineers, the drivers, you know, they build the roads and save the lives, and they help drive our economy. What should I say to share gratitude with them for all the important work they do? And ChatGPT really came through. It said, these people are the unsung heroes of our society. They design and build roads that connect us, protect us, and empower us. They work hard to ensure we can travel safely and efficiently across our beautiful state. They face many challenges and overcome many obstacles to make our lives better. We owe them a debt of gratitude for all the important work they do. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. Let's do that. Way to go, ChatGPT. And then you'll be left wondering if that was really ChatGPT or me that wrote that. Kidding, okay. Have I lost you all now? This is the dilemma you're gonna face, you know, did your kid write the term paper or did the computer write it? So, great organizations have great leaders, we know that. Ron Henke being a great leader this morning up at the Capitol fighting for the DOT budget. And Ron and the whole team at DOT doing a fantastic job. It's been great. He was interim 3 times, permanent director since mid-October. Have really enjoyed working with him and having us being part of our cabinet. He joined in 1990 as director of operations and project development, and he's like me, North Dakota rural kid who understands good roads and bridges are important to our farmers and ranchers, our businesses, our schools and residents in both our rural and urban areas. And he also understands that we've got an incredible state, 70,000 plus square miles. I often get a chance to remind my fellow governors that North Dakota is the size of all 6 New England states. North Dakota almost exactly the size of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts put together. And we've got a big area with lots going on. Anyway, Ron is doing a fantastic job as his whole team. Also want to thank Denver Tolliver and his team at Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute for all they do and their work with the local technical assistance program. 42nd year, that collaboration has made North Dakota, as you know, one of the top highway systems in the world. And this is probably giving everybody something to cheer about. We know that you know, $1 billion doesn't go as far as it used to with inflation, but our executive budget this year between the federal infrastructure dollars and state dollars and the commitments that we've made in North Dakota includes $2.4 billion to address road and bridge infrastructure in North Dakota and take that to the next level. So I think that's we don't have we may have an issue with supply chain and other things. We don't have an issue with investment because our state's never made as big an investment as this. So that's something we can all celebrate. And of course, we've got a responsibility to make sure that that investment goes as far and as well spent as we can, because those are taxpayer dollars, whether they're federal or state. And we've got fiscal and moral responsibility to make sure we make those really work. But again, we wouldn't have such a good handle on the needs without the work done by the Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute, their assessment on North County and local roads, forecasting needs for the next 20 years, including working with the 5 tribal nations whom we share geography. And the tribal nations that we have, they are sovereign nations, but every one of their citizens, every enrolled member in North Dakota is also a North Dakota citizen. They're also a U.S. citizen, and they drive on our roads, they go to our schools, they share in our health care, and so it's important that we develop even stronger partnerships with those parts of the state, and because sometimes they're left in a spot with the federal, lack of federal support historically, that some of the worst roads in their state were in our tribal areas. So critically important, and if we could, I know they're a big part of the work we're doing. If there's anybody here from Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute, I know they're a small group, but if you could stand, let's give them all a hand as well. And thank you for your support of this conference. But way to go, Upper Great Plains. I'm also excited about the theme this year, the conference, Drive Safe, Drive Change, Drive Together. Safety's been a priority of our administration, just as it always has been at the DOT. And Vision Zero is a great example. We launched Vision Zero now 5 years ago in a partnership between multiple North Dakota state cabinet agencies, the DOT, the Highway Patrol, the Department of Health, and we've seen some real results. We haven't declined as much as we would like, but we have made progress. Vehicle fatalities have been on a decline. 2020 and 21, even as some of those were going up around the nation during COVID, where we had more high-speed accidents than we'd had in decades. North Dakota had only 100 and 101 motor vehicle crash fatalities respectively during 20 and 21. Those are the lowest numbers in 15 years. Preliminary reports that we may finally have broken under the 100 mark for 2022, that's 97. That is what preliminary reports indicated for 2022. So again, slowly trending down in the right direction. Fatalities from alcohol-involved motor vehicle crashes also has decreased the last 5 years. Again, some combination of better understanding, better support for designated drivers, rideshare services, all of these things may be contributing to that. We also added 4 regional outreach coordinators, the Vision Zero strategies, the community lever. We put 4 highway safety corridors with enhanced features and increased law enforcement. All these things work. We also announced the Ride Sober program in 2021, thanks to funds primarily from the Auto Club Group, AAA. Over 1,500 sober rides have been taken since the program launched, and that is again every little thing can help. We know that a lot of work remains, because when I zip through and talk about statistics, statistics don't touch us. But if any of you know someone who's had a family member, a child, a friend, a neighbor that's died unnecessarily in a car accident in North Dakota, each one of those is a tragedy. And that's why we talk about Vision Zero, because there is no acceptable number of auto deaths except zero. And of course, we're still, as a country, 40,000 people die a year on the roads in our country. And we've gone 10 straight years in a row where we've had, there's been 0 crashes of commercial airline flights in America, and there was 1 death. There was an unfortunate passenger sitting next to a window and a part flew off, came through the window. That's the only death in 10 years in aviation. And so you say to yourself, wow, if they can do it for 10 years for the tens of millions of flights, we ought to be able to figure out a way to do that here on the roads. And we shouldn't accept the fact that living in America means that that 40,000 people are going to die and have their lives taken. I mean, 40,000 people annually, that's like basically that'd be like wiping out 80% of Grand Forks annually. But that's what we do nationally, and it's hardly ever even a headline. I mean, we've just grown so accustomed to that, apparently. And when we think about it over 5 years, even when I just got done talking about, hey, the numbers are great, they're going down. 522 people died in car accidents in North Dakota from 2017 to 2021. If you've got a 5-year-old grandson or granddaughter, in their lifetime, almost exactly the size of Richardson, North Dakota, has been wiped out by those killed. And this is and 51% of those were not wearing a seatbelt. You know, those who, you know, chose not to wear a seatbelt contribute to more than half of those fatalities. And you'd say, hey, you know, we're North Dakota, land of the free. I know we've got legislators that are like, you know, hey, we're going to vote against this thing without even hearing the testimony. Everybody comes in, highway patrol, everybody testifies, says primary seatbelt law saves lives. Pretty simple. And then boom, vote no. That's happened every year I've been here. It happened every year before that. Need all of your help to do this. If we've got a few legislators that are, you know, 75 years old, never drove a seatbelt, never drove anywhere with a seatbelt, and they want to drive back and forth to Bismarck without a seatbelt, have at it. But at least give us the tool that we have an opportunity to help save some lives of some people that maybe could be saved. We have the 7th lowest, we're the 7th lowest, we're like 43rd in seatbelt percentage in the United States. Nearly 1 in 5 aren't buckling up. Of the 6 states that had a lower seatbelt, since we're the 7th to the bottom, 5 of those didn't have a primary seatbelt law. So there is a correlation on the national stats, and we are competing against other states always for talent and capital. And apparently we're losing this competition because these other states that are below us also don't have primary seatbelt laws. So anyway, but the thing that I would say too is, I mean, the research shows that if states that transition to a primary seatbelt law had a 10 to 12% increase in observed usage, and when you do that, you know, we could end up saving 10 or 20 lives right off the bat if we have that. The Senate overwhelmingly passed the seatbelt law just recently by 31-14. So we've got it through one chamber. Now we have a historic opportunity to get it through the House, and would ask for all of your support if you care about highway safety and you care about our young people to support this. But if none of that moves you, the statistics or the personal losses, just talk to one of the North Dakota Highway Patrol. I get to work with them very closely. I ride with them every week. I'm somewhere with a highway patrol. And anybody who's ever worked as a highway patrol officer in our state of North Dakota, if they've done it for more than 6 months, think about it, 100 deaths a year in crashes happening on our highways. So you can do the math by month. So that's about 8 a month. It's about 2 people dying a week. In the first 6 months that you've worked as a highway patrolman in North Dakota, you have been on a crash site looking at somebody who's dead who was not wearing a seatbelt. You ask any of them, and they said they've never unbuckled someone who's died in a crash. They've never had to unbuckle someone who's died in a crash. And so it just for them, just so they don't have to go through the trauma of, you know, finding a kid in the ditch 100 feet from his vehicle that got thrown through the windshield when he would have been alive and walked away if he'd have been wearing a seatbelt. So for that alone, we ask for your support. As I said at the beginning, this has been a challenging winter, and interstates seem like they've been shut down on a weekly basis, and that's why I called on the legislature back in January 3rd, state to state, to expedite a bill that distributes emergency funding to locals that have exceeded their average snowfall removal budgets. That's a $20 million ask. I heard last night from the House Approps leader, Don Vigasaw, that he thought it was going to move forward, and maybe I'm going to see that soon. I told him it'd be great if I could see it when there's still snow on the ground. And so that's hopefully that those dollars will be coming to help support our communities. And then when we talk about infrastructure and our record infrastructure, part of what we've got going on, of course, is the Main Street Initiative. Many of you have been involved in that because we can't support and keep our small towns healthy in North Dakota. Most of them have a state highway running down their Main Street. And one of the 4 pillars of the Main Street Initiative is smart infrastructure. We got to be smart about how we connect our communities, but also how we interact with them in a way to make sure that we've got, you know, walkability and safety for pedestrians and multimodal and all the things that will help keep young people living in our state. We've got to think about what is the advent of new forms of transportation on our roads. And when we design cities exclusively for automobiles, then sometimes we leave out the component that we've got to design cities for people. And transportation is going to change in the next 20 years, and we need to be changing with that to make sure that we can attract and retain the workforce we need in our state that could have an opportunity to work elsewhere. We've proposed in part of this, we proposed a new flexible fund within the DOT that never had this. We've got over $135 million in that flexible fund, can be strategically invested in high priority projects that can help us, build out a better state, that can help us on workforce retention and attraction. And we know that workforce is a big issue for the transportation sector as well. And we've got large budget asks for workforce and workforce training, including for transportation. We've got large asks in there for building out childcare infrastructure, because childcare infrastructure is workforce infrastructure in this day and age. We're fortunate that we now are one of the youngest states in the nation. But that means when we're one of the youngest states in the nation, we're getting young families to stay here and grow here, and we've got a real challenge with accessibility, affordability, and quality of childcare. We've got to address that so that our educated workforce can stay in the workforce. But in closing, I want to just say to all of you that your work really matters. We know that when we do roads in North Dakota, we support agriculture and we support energy, we support our local communities, and we keep people safe. And we keep our supply chains moving and our economy humming. But the thing we need to understand about North Dakota, when I had the opportunity to lead a trade mission to Japan last October, 126 million people living on an island the size of North and South Dakota. 126 million people live there. Half of it's mountainous, so 126 million people living basically in the size of North Dakota. That would, in that area, the density is 130 times more people per square mile, 130 times more dense than what we have in North Dakota. But you know what they get up and think about? And they've got some great infrastructure in Japan. That they get up in the morning and realize that they have zero oil and gas production. All of their energy is coming from the Middle East through the South China Sea, and now China's got the largest navy in the world. They have only 2/3 of the calories they need to feed 126 million people are grown on that island. They have to import food every day. So no food security and no energy security. We have so many things in our country that we take for granted that we have. And when they heard about what we have in North Dakota, when we have the ability here to produce energy, to store CO2, to decarbonize liquid fuels, to produce food that we can ship all over the world, they really understand better than many North Dakotans that North Dakota does feed and fuel the world. We are part of global stability. We are part of national security here in our country. A leading Japanese CEO said at the end of our meeting, when we were meeting with their Kadendran, which is like their Chamber of Commerce, he was the chairman of Toyota, and he heard the presentation about our state, and he said, "We are envious of North Dakota. You're young, you're growing, you've got food, you've got energy. We have so much to be grateful for, and part of that is the gratitude is to all of you, because with the $2.4 billion, one of the highest infrastructure budget ever introduced in our state, the opportunity to build the best infrastructure, the most forward-looking, the safest infrastructure. And when we do that, it supports our ability to feed and fuel the world. And that is important work. That is work with purpose. So I'm very excited that you're here. Thanks for taking the time to invest in yourself. Thanks to all the sponsors out in the exhibit hall that are on the front edge. In North Dakota, you know, we believe about innovation, not regulation. There's a lot of innovation going on out there. And you've got a fantastic keynote speaker coming up here who's going to talk about innovation. I'm glad that you're all here to hear him, and I want to again thank you for being at this conference. Thanks for all you do for the citizens of North Dakota. Appreciate it.
So one of the things that we talk about and we tell the story to our peers is how great our industry is, and the governor echoed a lot of the wonderful things that we're doing around the state. But we need to tell the public too and show them the value that we're creating when we pass these record budgets and we're improving infrastructure and we're trying to save lives and make it easier to do business in North Dakota. The DOT started a campaign, Selfies from the Field, which is wonderful on social media, to see what we're building. And as all of you are here over the next day and a half, we want you to take part in that too. So if you feel inclined, let's do the hashtag NDTC23 and show people that we're here being innovative, that we're learning, that we're networking, and we're creating value. So to kick that off, Governor and Wayde, we're going to take one from the stage here. We'll see if I can get this to work, and we'll get that posted to social media. We'll try to get the, let's flip that around here. Try to get as much of the crowd in here.
I think for art, it would look like good if it didn't look like an oil painting back there. So maybe all of you guys could wave or have some movement. There you go. Wow, they're actually doing it. That's...
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great conference.
All right, thank you, Governor Burgum, and thank you, Wayde, for kicking this off.